Rooms and Doors has to be one of the most underrated rooms-inspired games on Roblox, but due to its less than stellar name and the insanely inflated market, most search algorithms will only bring the pages of the official rooms and doors. If you haven't played this game already, I suggest you do so and experience all of this for yourself. And if you're here because you wanted tips on surviving, you've come to the only video you'll need. Only video ever. This video will cover every basic feature of Rooms and Doors, so you can check the video chapters and skip to whichever segment you might need. Otherwise, sit back and get ready to get educated. Bitch. I'm going to be referring to Rooms and Doors as R&D to eliminate any confusion that may occur when I mention the original Rooms game and the original Doors game. As soon as you open that front door, you should immediately start looking for batteries scattered around the building. Batteries can spawn on top of desks, behind potted plants, and in any small corner. It is extremely rare to find 2 batteries in the same room, so once you've got one, it's safe to assume you've gotten them all for that room. If you hold shift while grabbing a battery, you'll snatch it up quickly, which uses a slight amount of stamina. I think this feature was implemented so batteries could be collected while moving, but you can stand completely still to snatch the battery and skip the animation. Any teammate who collects a battery will have a text bubble above their head which can show you exactly where the battery is in a room. The text bubble looks just like the speech bubble when using chat normally. When I started playing, I thought there were AI players in the game because they all kept saying the same thing. By the time you reach A120, you should have collected a fine amount of batteries, flipped the power switch, and did not touch the bell. You should then listen to the lovely art sprayed on the wall and find a locker to hide in. You could also hide under tables or in places out of sight, like behind the door in this room. Tables should only be used as a last resort, as A60 has a 10% chance of still killing you under the table, so only use it if you have nowhere else to hide. The multi-monster, aka A60, will be your only tormentor through to room A50. A60 spawns completely randomly and can attack at any time, meaning you will have to keep an ear out for the loud noises it makes to the previous rooms, and look for the static that can briefly be seen on screen. The sound you make while running on the carpet sounds similar to A60's, meaning that it can blend with the sound of A60 attacking, and you'll only realize it's coming until it's already too late. The many ambient noises that play can make it hard to listen for A60. If you're looking directly at the next door, the sounds to your front, right, and left are fake noises. A60 is the only noise that comes from behind. Knowing that might make it easier to recognize it. And sometimes, there will be rooms with no lockers when A60 spawns. When this happens, try to look for these safe spots. In this corner of the cubicle next to the computer, behind the boxes in the room with 3 tables, and the far sides of the stairs in 2-story rooms. The way the multi-monster damages you is through raycasting, meaning if you stay out of its sight, you'll be perfectly fine. With the computer and box hiding spots, you really need to make sure you are as squished in there as possible. Press against the boxes or wall as best as you can, and do not turn your character or look at A60, as it can see you that way. A60 is not an instant kill, despite popular belief. It actually just deals damage to you insanely fast, meaning you can survive an A60 attack if you enter a locker late. A60 will still jump scare you, but you will realize that you're still alive. When you lose health, the sides of your screen will begin to turn red. There's no way to tell exactly how much health you have left, so you will need to make a guesstimate given how red your screen has become. Health does regenerate, but very slowly. Your screen will turn blue as you run out of stamina. When you completely run out of stamina, your vision will blur and text will appear saying that you're exhausted. There is no downside to running completely out of stamina, but it's good to always make sure you have a little bit left. Your stamina will also regenerate slightly faster if you are standing still. When A60 goes through a stair room, the bridge on the top floor will collapse. If you are on the top floor, you can drop down the gap where the bridge once stood no problem. This takes up a small amount of stamina, but if you don't have enough stamina required to perform this action, you will take damage while doing so. In the same bridge rooms, there can also be cloth draped against the railing. If you interact with these pieces of cloth, you will vault over the railing and drop to the bottom floor. You will also take damage if you don't have enough stamina to perform this action. When you enter room A50, all the lights will go out, meaning you'll need your flashlight to see anything, so I hope you grabbed enough batteries. Room A50 is where a new problem emerges. A60 Prime. I don't know why it's called A60 when both start to attack before the actual room A60, but whatever. A60 Prime is just like the regular A60, but with a twist. Immediately after A60's attack, leave the locker and turn on your flashlight. If Prime is about to attack, your flashlight will begin to flicker and you'll hear a quiet wind sound. If your light does begin to flicker, get back in the locker immediately. A60 Prime has no auditory warning and moves much faster than the regular A60. Prime has a chance to attack after any A60 attack, so don't think you're safe after A60 despawns. And by now you've definitely noticed another presence with you inside the lockers. Now that the lights have gone out, the darkness is now active. The darkness is just like Hide from Doors, an entity that makes sure you aren't spending all of your time hiding in a safe space. You're going to need to time entering lockers when A60 attacks. If you use your flashlight as the darkness begins to attack, it will be stunned for a couple seconds, while also eating up basically all of your battery life, regardless of how much juice you had left. While we're talking about lockers, I suppose I should mention another problem you might run into. When you enter a new room, you may notice a locker that is slightly open before being slammed shut. This is Shell. They are a bunch of selfish pricks that will hide inside lockers to ambush and scare the piss out of you. Shell has a small chance to spawn in any locker, so if you think A60 is about to attack soon, and you have a locker to hide in, quickly check if there is a shell in that locker before leaving. Doing shell checks will help you out immensely, as you'd be surprised on how many times this guy can fuck you over. When you open a locker a shell is in, they will deal a small amount of damage and stun you before scurrying away. You will be unable to enter the locker for a couple seconds until you can recover from Shell's attack, which leaves you open to an attack from A60. So just make sure to pay attention whenever you enter a new room, and if you hear a locker close, that means that Shell is somewhere inside the room. These will be all the goobers you'll have to deal with until room A100. Once you reach A100, you did it! Yay! Woo! While you're inside this room, no entities will spawn, and you'll be perfectly safe. There will be a big ass machine in one of the corners of the room that requires 10 AA batteries for some fucking reason. If you choose to put the batteries in, your generosity will be rewarded with the Gummy Flashlight. The Gummy Flashlight does not need batteries and shines a green light dimmer than the normal flashlight. The flashlight will slowly dim over time but can recharge simply by pressing the flashlight button. You will always be holding the flashlight now and are unable to switch back to the normal one. Since you reached A100, you can now start new runs at room A100. You will start in the regular lobby, but once you open the first door, the game will literally fast forward to A100, and gives you a random amount of batteries ranging from 1 to 3. After A100, you can now encounter possibly the worst entity in the entire game. This is Pnevma, and yes, that is how you spell it. This little asshole can be heard clicking around the room and will start to attack you if you're sprinting or if your light is turned on. Pnevma will not be attracted to your flashlight if you're inside a locker. Pnevma doesn't do a lot of damage, but attacks you very quickly, which makes him really difficult to deal with sometimes. You are able to kill Pnevma if you lead it towards a locker with your light and slam the locker door open to absolutely shatter the motherfucker. You can do this while holding shift when leaving the locker. However, this action takes up about 80% of your stamina, so make sure you aren't exhausted when you lead Pnevma towards you. Once you've killed Pnevma, the locker you use can no longer be used to hide, as the door is now broken. And for some fucking reason, A60 just loves to attack seconds after killing Pnevma. It loves to so much I become so fucking paranoid that I'll get cucked by A60 whenever I hear this retard's clicking. What I like to do is find a locker and wait for A60 to attack. After you're sure nothing else is going to attack afterwards, then lure Pnevma back to your locker and kill it quickly to ensure you have some time to breathe before something else attacks. Things only get worse as you enter room A120, where another entity, Happy Scribble, is guaranteed to attack. You will hear what sounds like static and loud drums in the room ahead. When you hear this, you need to find a locker immediately. Out-of-spot sights and tables will not work. You need to be in a locker. Happy Scribble travels directly towards the player, while A60 and his Prime variant simply travel towards the next room. The only way you can survive Scribble is to be in a locker. Scribble will travel directly towards you, but will not kill you if you're in a locker. Listen for its noises to completely stop before leaving. Scribble likes to travel to previous rooms and has a chance to rebound back up to 3 times, so while you may hear its sound fade away, it doesn't mean that it's gone. If Scribble is taking longer than usual to rebound back to you, that means it is likely despawned too far away from you to hear, although it will sometimes despawn right in front of you, which allows you to hear what it sounds like when it despawns. Scribble's sounds will abruptly stop when it leaves, meaning if you hear them fading away, he's still moving. The drums are what make Scribble very easy to look out for, as if you pay attention you can still hear them even when very far away. The darkness in A60 will not spawn while Scribble is present, meaning you can hide in the locker much longer than usual. Scribble will also kill any Nembas that may exist as it moves. You can even hear Nemba scream before it dies. A60, however, can cause some real trouble when paired with Scribble. Unlike A60, Scribble only has a chance to spawn on the opening of a new room. This includes A60 breaking the doors down. A60 Prime can attack more than once, meaning it's possible A60 could open a total of 2 to 4 doors before you're safe. After you know Prime has stopped attacking, leave and re-enter the locker, and do not leave until the darkness begins to attack. If the darkness does begin to attack, you know you are safe. Since Scribble can spawn multiple rooms ahead of where you are, it can catch you by surprise when it begins to move towards you. When Scribble spawns in, he will be in the next room over for a couple seconds before moving. You have a lot less time to react once you hear Scribble's noises while it's moving, so hiding and waiting for the darkness will be able to tell you whether or not Scribble has spawned. In the last 10 rooms before A-200, another friend will announce himself. This is Paralysis. When you see him on your screen or hear the subtle ticking sound he makes, take all your hands off the keyboard and keep your mouse still. If you move an inch, Paralysis will attack and take away more than half of your health. Pretty simple, right? But there's more. After a Paralysis attack, turn your flashlight on. If it begins to flicker right after he disappears, stay completely still. This is Paralysis Prime. He gives no time to react and attacks instantly. He is even less lenient about movement than the regular Paralysis. Always check your light after Paralysis and remain standing still if it does begin to flicker. When you reach room A-200, there will be no special room, but you will still be able to start your runs from A-200. As soon as you enter the new room, you will hear a thud sound. All ambient noise will stop, and all the color will begin to drain from your screen as thick fog covers the floor. As soon as this happens, find a locker as fast as possible. This is Insidæ, and yes, that is how you say it. Insidæ replaces Happy Scribble after room 200. Very similar to Scribble, Insidæ can pass by your locker 3 times. Every time it passes over you, it makes a noise that sounds like a person exhaling, while a cloud of smoke passes by. When Insidæ despawns, it makes sort of a screaming noise that can get lost with the other sounds it makes, so it's important to make sure which sound means what. Whenever Insidæ approaches you, turn on your flashlight and check for flickering. If your light does begin to flicker after he despawns, stay in the locker no matter what, as after Insidæ attacks, Insidæ Prime has a chance of spawning. Prime makes no noise and gives no warning other than flickering your flashlight. Insidæ Prime moves faster than his regular version and makes no noise. Your light will flicker until Prime is done attacking and leaves. The darkness also will not attack until Insidæ has left. As you make your way to room A-250, you may notice the ceiling begin to crack and rumble a bit. The cracking can begin on any opening of a new door. The third time, the cracking and shaking will last for much longer, before this guy pops out. Kalypto, the final new entity before A-300. Kalypto will warn of his attacks 2 doors ahead of time. The third time, the room begins to shake. You must find a hiding spot before he drops from the ceiling. If you don't, he will bite you and take away about 40% of your health. You should always, if you can, find a table to hide under, as Kalypto cannot reach you that way. Being in the lower floor of the stair rooms also works. You can hide in a locker, but when Kalypto attacks, he will block the door, preventing you from getting out, leaving you open to being attacked by the darkness. Kalypto will always damage you if you are anywhere within his reach. No amount of running around can save you, as when he attacks, your character will freeze in place. Kalypto will always wait to let the other entities attack first before it attacks. And that's all you need to know about how to survive up to A-300. However, there is still one more thing. Charms. Charms are secret abilities you can equip before a run to give you an advantage and help with areas of the game you might be struggling with. Each of the charms are based off one of the 7 deadly sins, which each have their own rite of passage you need to complete before you can use them. To unlock the Pride charm, you have to walk all the way from A1 to A100 without using lockers. This includes room A20. It's a good idea to use the safe spots in certain rooms to your advantage as much as possible. What I did was simply hide in safe spots until A60 attacks before I would continue. Tables are also fair game, but keep in mind there is about a 10% chance that A60 and Prime can kill you while under it. Pride isn't really that helpful, it just removes the 10% death chance when hiding under tables, as well as making tables you hide under sparkle. So yes, it does make tables perfectly safe against A60, but almost every other entity requires you to be in a locker to survive. Envy is probably the easiest charm to get. All you need to do is spectate a teammate as a ghost for 100 rooms. That's it. Envy will heal you whenever a teammate dies, as well as informing you that that teammate has died. You can also see ghost chat messages normally. The ghosts have a separate chat log from the humans, which can make it easier to communicate. In solo runs, Envy has a chance to warn you when an entity is about to attack. It warns you maybe 5 seconds ahead of time, which is plenty of time to find a hiding spot. It won't warn you every time, however, so don't rely on it too much. To get the Wrath charm, you need to kill 3 or more Nembas at the same time. Wrath reduces the stamina cost of your actions by 50%, while also having your health bar linked with your stamina, as well as a 0.5 damage multiplier. The Greed charm can be really easy to obtain in big lobbies. You just need to have a teammate die after you steal a locker they could have used. I got the charm when I wasn't even the one doing it, so it may be awarded to everyone when it happens. Greed allows you to see occupied lockers with a red outline. Any locker a teammate enters is considered occupied. If a shell is inside a locker, it will also be outlined. This can be really helpful if you're having a hard time with shell, as it works the exact same in solo runs. The charm of Gluttony requires you to collect every battery that spawns from room A1 to A100. When you have Gluttony equipped, if there is any room that still has a battery in it, the sign to the next room will be tinted orange, showing that there is a battery in the room that you're currently in. If you look up and press R if you have 8 batteries, you can heal yourself up to full health. The Rite of Sloth requires you to make it from the starting room all the way to A200 without sprinting, or without opening any doors, which means a teammate will have to open all of them for you. Sloth quintuples your stamina regeneration while inside lockers, and makes your footsteps quieter so that Nemba can never hear them. Also, the moment you interact with the locker, you'll be perfectly safe, meaning no entities can damage you as you're closing the locker door. The last charm is the Charm of Lust, but you can't say lust on Roblox, so it's called the Charm of Desire. Easy and simple to get, all you need to do is to make it from A1 to A100 in under 10 minutes. Which means you really just have to book it and not be as careful as you may normally be. When you equip it, you will gain 1 battery straight to your inventory every 10 rooms you go through. Okay, I think that's it. If you have questions, you can ask me about it, okay? Bye!